Huh? Yeah. I'm a girl.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I want to welcome you this evening to tonight's candidate forum, a special meeting of the Midcoast Community Council. My name is Lynn Erickson. I'm a member of the council. The council does not have a quorum here tonight, so we will not have a formal opening. We do have a period of open comments from the public. If anyone is here who wants to speak on a topic not on tonight's agenda, you're welcome to raise your hand now to speak. Okay, not having heard that, I want to welcome the candidates and the League of Women Voters, and I will turn the affair over to Dr. Jeckelberger, who will conduct the meeting.
Thank you, Lynn. And I'd like to welcome everyone here too. First of all, I have a couple of announcements, and I'm going to ask you to please turn off your cell phones, or at least silence them so the candidates won't be interrupted when they speak. And we also have a rule that there's no campaign literature in the room. Well, I'm Jackie Jacobberger, and I'm president of the League of Women Voters of North and Central San Mateo County. And I'd like to say thank you to the Midcoast Community Council for sponsoring the forum tonight. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization of both men and women whose purpose is to promote active and informed participation in government. So we really appreciate the efforts of groups like the Midcoast Community Council in presenting events that help the voters know more about the candidates and the issues. The purpose of a candidate forum is to provide an opportunity for all the candidates to be heard at one time and to be questioned by you, the audience. We hope that by bringing the candidates and voters together face to face, voters will be better informed and will make wise decisions on election day. So we appreciate your interest in coming out to learn more about them. Now during this forum, you will hear from the current board members of the Coastside Fire Protection who are subject to recall, which is removal from office, and the candidates whose names are on the ballot to replace the board members if they are recalled. The Coastside Fire Protection District serves the city of Half Moon Bay, the unincorporated areas of Half Moon Bay, and the unincorporated communities of Miramar, El Granada, Princeton by the Sea, Moss Beach, and Montera. And there are 5 members on the board. So this election is different from what voters usually find on their ballot. It's not just a list of candidates. This election proposes several choices. There are 3 current board members who can be removed from office. So the question for each of the 3 is whether or not that person should be recalled. And a majority vote is required to recall the board member. Now, if the majority does not vote yes on the recall, it fails and the current board member remains in office. For each board member's seat, a candidate to succeed or replace the member, if he is recalled, is listed. So for 2 of the incumbent board members, there's only 1 candidate listed to succeed each one of them. You may vote for that person or write in a name. For the 3rd board member, voters can choose between 2 people or write in a name to succeed him if the recall passes. So even if you vote against the recall, you can vote for the person to succeed him. And that's the way this election works. It's a little different. Now, in the interest of time and of fairness to the candidates, I'm going to ask you to hold your applause until the end of the forum, and then we'll thank all the candidates at that time. And the purpose of this event is to provide this nonpartisan setting to let undecided voters hear all the candidates and to help them choose. It's not for supporters or opponents of any particular candidate in the audience to demonstrate their own personal preferences. And I'm going to ask you to be courteous to them and not shout out any information or any names or any of that kind of thing during this. Please ask you to hold all those personal feelings inside. So the people whose names you'll find on the ballot are seated here in alphabetical order. And the current board members are Mike Alifano, Douglas McIntosh, and Gary Riddell. And the candidates listed to replace the board members, if they are recalled, are Karen Anderson to replace Mike Alifano, J.B. Cockrell to replace Doug McIntosh, and then to replace Gary Riddell, if he is recalled. Voters have two choices, Lee McCusick or Harvey Barback. Now, Mr. Cockrell is unable to attend because of his work schedule, and Mr. Barback is unable to attend because he's traveling. So now we get to the ground rules. The rules for the forum are as follows. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for an opening statement. And then during the question period, each candidate will have 1 minute to answer. All candidates will have equal time to speak to the question. So I'm asking you to submit general questions, not questions directed to one person. And then each candidate will have 2 minutes for a closing statement. Our timekeeper is up in the front here, Marty Gator, and she will hold up warning signs when the candidate has 1 minute and then 30 seconds left of the allotted time. And at the end of the time, the timekeeper will hold up the stop sign until the candidate quits speaking, and we will let you finish your sentence. But not a whole paragraph, please. We have something a little different here because we're in the hospital facility. If the hospital announcement comes on, the timekeeper will stop the clock, the candidate will stop speaking, and then as soon as the announcement's finished, she will start the clock again and the candidate can finish their time that they have allotted. And then we have 2 ushers in the audience that will bring up questions. The questions from the audience are all in writing, and they have cards and pencils for you to write your questions down. So please write legibly and keep your questions brief. And I will not ask any questions of a personal nature or anything that includes personal invective. So our ushers there are Greta White and Don Jacobberger. And they're somewhere in the audience. So raise your hand if you need an usher to pick up your question. All questions come to the moderator, and I'll sort the questions by subject, and I'm going to try to cover a variety of subjects. And we usually don't have time to ask other questions, and I may rephrase and combine some when there's several on the same topic.